Oh, Miss Ross, we are live. Are you ready to do this?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Let's do it.
KTTV, giving you what you need. Motivation, education unleashed. H-Town representing, we forever keep it rolling. Join the conversation with inspirational stories. Thought-provoking, feel that energy. Kendrick Thomas aiming to lift the community. True indeed, tune in, come and see. Giving you what you need. KTTV, let's go. KTTV.
What it do, KTTV? This is KT, and I'm coming at you live with another episode of Education Unleashed. And on tonight's episode, well, I got to break that down because this is special. This is the season 3 opener. So on this special season 3 opener episode, I have the director of literacy, principal. I can't say form. I got to say principal. You always going to be the principal.
Always.
Consultant and author, Mrs. Starla Ross. How you doing tonight, Ms. Ross?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great tonight. So first and foremost, thank you for allowing me to just be on your platform. This is awesome. I'm so proud of you.
Look, now we walked home from high school together, man. We got, it was only right that you do that, because we giving back to Cattle Parish. So we got to celebrate stuff like that.
We do straight up greatness. That's it.
Yes.
Just greatness.
So look, I want to say, like I say, thank you for taking some time out because it's a go world we living in, and so you probably got about 6 other things to do right now, but I appreciate that. And so before we jump into everything, I still like to do a wellness check because we do know how crazy it is out here. So how have you been, and how are you maintaining as we push through these last few weeks of the school year?
Oh man. Yeah, I was talking to one of the instructional coaches the other day, and she said, "Miss Ross, we only have 6 more Mondays. 6 more Mondays." And that was. I said, "You know what? You're right. 6 more. And when you think about it like that, like it's okay. We can handle it. We can get through it. But I will say, a lot of times, just as educators, when we get into I'm gonna say this last leg of the academic school year, when you're gearing up for assessments and tests, you're really it's like, now let's just prove ourselves. All the instruction that has been happening all year, the support, the teacher capacity, all of the work that you've been doing, it has to show up now. And you're just tweaking small things right now in the school and with your teachers, with your students. And that's really how life is almost. It's this, you're just trying to tweak small things and little things just so you can show up and be greater and be better each time. So I'll say that, it's been a ride. I've had some losses, I've had some gains, but in all of it, I'm still going to thank God for all of it, because all of it is a lesson. And that's how I'm taking it. So
most definitely
good.
Yeah, I can dig that. Oh man, I'm with you. Like you say, these last few weeks, you start to think about what's going on. What like you can see it, but you like it's still so far away.
Like, Lord, that's what you want me to
do? Hey, look, but I agree though. Like you say, this is the time where all of that work, all those little efforts, it's time to just show up and not make that work we did for nothing. So most definitely, I feel you on that. So now, for the people in the back that don't know, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your work in education, and then I'm gonna put a little twist on it. What inspired you? Because I know where you come from, right? We went to the same high school. So now, what inspired you to say, I'm going into education?
Yes. So a little bit about myself now. Kendrick knows, born and raised in Shreveport, Louisiana.
Wow.
Most people wonder, like, where is that to New Orleans? Because every time you think about Louisiana, you think about New Orleans. But we're 5.5 hours from New Orleans, but then we're 2.5 hours from Dallas. So
that's top of the boot.
Yeah, top of the boot. Try to explain it. And, just from humble beginnings, I've been blessed to have my mother and my father in my life. And so to just come from those humble beginnings at where family is everything at the core of who I am. It is love and it is family. And so that's why I find myself truly valuing people and the gift of just pouring into others, if that makes sense. So just who I am, I love to support, I love to love, and I love to learn. And Grambling State University graduate. I just want to make sure that's known. Yes, GSU.
All right.
Let's go.
All right. All right. You know, I'm
Okay,
PV,
no,
so I'm just keep it
I
rolling.
understand that part of it. You know, okay, I won't, but I had to. I had to.
Yeah.
And just at the core of me, I just love to give, and I think what inspired me to go into education, it was the teachers that poured into me when I couldn't really pour into myself. And so many don't know that I was a teenage mother in high school. So I do have a 24-year-old daughter right now. And when at that time of walking the hallways, you might not know this, but at that time of walking the hallways, when you are a teenage mother, a lot of times there's this stigma of that that's all you are. Like you're just being told that that's it for you. You're just a number, you and the baby and those babies or whatever it may be, that's the end of the line for you. But what inspired me to really get into education and to just be that gift to someone else is that there was individuals at my high school at Booker T. Washington. While there were some that doubted me, there were plenty that poured into me. And you one particular person was Miss Sandra Smallwood, and our librarian. And she was one of the key factors that drove me into wanting to get into education. Of course, Miss Lampkin, our ELA teachers. It was just so many greatness. I want to ask for forgiveness for my dog right now. That's all I'm gonna say. Just ask for forgiveness because this is live. This is real. But just the idea of having those educators to pour into me while there were others that doubted. That is what influenced me to get into education.
Yeah, I agree with that. Did you think about Leroy and all the people, you know, that just really just make sure you stayed on it? Who's that? I seen a picture. I was talking to Eddie I think 2 days ago. He was like Coach Green. You know, just yeah, I say, come on, man, BTW. But but you didn't realize it then. But those people were really pouring into you, like really shaping your thoughts. You know, and so I agree. I'm thankful.
Yeah,
Most definitely. So now,
I was just going to say that makes a difference.
Yeah.
The trajectory of a young person's life is who is pouring into their lives, and who are they choosing to listen to?
Yeah.
Because I could have listened to that person or those individuals who were speaking negativity in my life, but I chose to listen to the voices that were speaking life into me. So
most definitely. So now I want to start off. I can start off with the Schoolhouse. I can start off with so much, but I want to start off with the book.
Oh,
right. So don't forget my name.
Yes.
Talk to us about the inspiration behind the book. And kind of what was that relationship in your family that brought about that story?
Wow. All right. So we're just gonna jump on into it.
Jump in it, man. We ain't got time to play.
Okay. So the book, I have a children's book currently, and right now it is a children's book. But what I'm finding is that it is inspiring all people of all ages. And what I mean by it's inspiring people of all ages, the book is grounded in that both of my grandmothers were actually diagnosed with dementia. And my maternal grandmother, and I have both of their names here. I just want to make sure I recognize them, Bessie and Hayes. Greatness. I have to represent at all times. My maternal grandmother, Bessie Collins, she lived in Kansas City, Missouri. And in March of 2022, she actually wandered away from her home in the middle of the night. And during that time, it happened on a Sunday. We traveled up to Kansas City, Missouri on a Monday, and every day we were searching for her, looking for her. She was all over the news. We were all over the news. It was just, and it was the elements of Kansas City, Missouri. So if you know Kansas City, you know that it's cold, you know that it's a city. And unfortunately, that Thursday, we found my grandmother deceased about a mile and a half, 2 miles away from her house. And my husband, my mom, my all my children, I got three, and my we all traveled up to Kansas City. And my two children, I have a 5-year-old, 7-year-old, and a 24-year-old. But the 7-year-old, his name is James. He's an interesting one. He really internalized that experience. Like, he was asking questions. He wanted to know. I was missing. He was missing a week of school, and why would grandma leave home? Why? What are you talking about? Dementia? Like, it's such a complex disease that as a 7-year-old, he was just struggling with the idea, but he's an inquisitive child. And so he really wanted to know, like, what is this about? What is it? And we tried to explain it the best way that we could, the entire experience. But what I found is that once I got home, it was during the almost like the couple of months later, I found myself in a very dark place, a very lonely place, a very sad place. And and I kept saying, like, why God? Just why did that happen? Such a beautiful spirit and such a beautiful woman, um, to have this ending. If just
Yeah.
she gave so much to so many. So why should her ending, I'm a literary person, so why should
Yeah.
the ending of her chapters just be this? And so in that moment, I kept thinking that, even though my grandmother struggled with this disease, both of them, neither one of them forgot my name. They always knew who I was. They always loved me. They recognized my face. I was always, especially my father's grandmother, my grandma Hazel. My papa used to call me one of his dark girls because I'm one of the dark chocolate girls of all of his grandchildren. And so, I just came to the realization that they never forgot my name. She never forgot my name. And in that, the words just started to pour out, the thoughts of she never forgot my name. And I kept wondering why, though, with this such a complex disease, why was it that why what were the things that may help someone remember who you are? And that's where the idea of the book came from, to not only give me some peace and understanding, which I hope it gives to other caretakers, which I hope it gives to other children, grandchildren, siblings that may be struggling with family members that have dementia, Alzheimer's. However, but it also serves as a catalyst to educate our community, especially because it is a conversation that we don't have. We don't talk about mental health. We don't, especially if you think about how many of us are struggling with an elder who we're having to figure out how to take care of them. A lot of times, the caretaker is that one person who's trying to do it. They're trying to figure it out, and they don't know how to ask for help. And or the having a loved one to sh- to know them to be so vibrant and so colorful and so smart, and then to turn into shift into this being of not knowing, it's a scary experience. And so for children it is as well. So
Yeah. And so then, man, I'm telling you, mental health.
yeah.
We're talking about that in May. I'll be bringing back the Wellness Wednesday.
Oh, cool.
Mental health is that month. And so, but specifically, dementia is a difficult and, like you say, heartbreaking condition. So, as you approach writing this book, how did you approach it in a way that was both sensitive but then engaging for the readers who you are putting it out for.
Yeah. Um, so I for since as a young child, I've always written poetry.
Mhm.
And I loved literature. I loved stories. I will say in college, I studied the book of Job. We had a Christianity class, and the book of Job was looked at through the lens of literature. And so I've always had a sense of just writing, and I enjoyed it. And so from there, now of course being an educator, for me, I'm noticing, and I've seen it, and we all see it, that in this world, there isn't a joy for reading for our children. And also I approached it through the lens of, oftentimes our children, when they are trying to learn about something that is some nonfiction or fiction, a lot of times they're not seeing representation of themselves.
Yeah.
And so with this book, in writing this book, I wanted to be very intentional that our children, they got a chance to see themselves on the front cover. I got a chance to see myself on
Yeah.
the front cover. That was important to me. I also understood that just with my work in literacy, that repetition helps young children remember. Rhyming helps young children remember, and just illustrations. If children are able to connect the text to the illustrations, it really helps that lifelong learning element.
Yeah.
So that was also my approach. And then my approach to the book was also, I wanted something that my 7-year-old son could pick up and read on his own. And so I had to think about, the age group of what words and all of those different things that he will be able to tackle. And not only that, my 5-year-old son could listen to it and see it and say, "That's my mommy's book,"
Yeah.
and be able to recognize some of those sight words as well. And also my approach to this is, I thought about parents. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of times in education, we tend to send homework home,
Yeah.
or we say, go home and read for 30 minutes. But after they read with their children, what else is there? What else is there? What else should they do? So in the back of the book, I have some literary elements where parents can actually, once they finish reading the book, it has a let's talk and a let's write section. So that's huge,
Yeah.
because a lot of times after they finish reading the book, parents don't know what questions to ask to see if their child has actually retained the information or understood the text.
Mhm.
And then also, the writing is very important as well, to get our children. That's a part of literacy as well, not just reading but also writing to the text is very important. So approaching the book, I thought about definitely my personal connections to my grandmother, and all that I experienced, but I also wanted it to be relatable for all ages. And I also wanted parents to be able to do something with the book every time they read it. Like, they can ask one question once they read it the first time. The next time you're reading another question, because every time you read the book and look at the illustrations, you pick up on something else to gain insight on.
Man,
Um,
that's deep
yeah,
though. I mean, because you got, I guess like it's almost like Superman or something, right? You on one side, you just normal, you just art and you writing, but on the other side, you got all these pieces in play, and you like, but wait a minute, what about make sure it's
yeah,
talking, make sure we write, make sure it rhyme, make sure it repeat, right? And so all those pieces are on the other side of it, where you can be able to just put it all together. But come on, Star, don't show out like that. Look
you
though,
it
oh,
has,
show out.
where we come from. You know how this
Look,
goes.
I will tell you though, when you started off, you said Christianity and Grambling. I was worried at first, because but then you said it was a class. I thought y'all had a little club down there. I thought it was a Chris. I was like, there was Okay then. Look.
The humanities department, we look at all parts and all elements. So, biblical,
So
everything.
now, if out of all these pieces, you're thinking about the power of memory and importance and holding on to things that matter. Um, if you said it's one thing that I wanted people to take from this book, and on one end it's the education, on the other end it's the story. Like, what you hope readers will take away?
Mm. Yeah. You got me on that.
Hey,
You said one. It was so much. You said one thing. One thing I want readers to take away
oh,
from this book.
look, give me a few then.
Okay. I'm gonna give you. No, I can't even say two. But the one thing I want readers to take away from this book is that your name,
Mm.
your name, your name is all you have. Um, and so how you show up in the world is important. And I say that because both characters in the book, the grandmother, the granddaughter, although in the book, neither one of them basically I gave you a name, but you know them as the characters of grandmother and granddaughter. But as you show up in these different roles, but people know you by your name. So regardless to whether I am principal, whether I am director of literacy, whether I am my parents' child, whether I am a wife, it is my name still matters because they remember me as Starla did this. Starla treated me this way. Starla was this. And I think about that because even within this book, and I talk about there's so many different elements. Not only can this book be used to just talk about how you should have love and patience with your family member, but it also, for me, comes up in how are you showing up in the world, whether you are the elder or whether you are the young child. What is your legacy, and how are you showing up in love? Regardless, because there's a lot going on in this world that people are experiencing, and how are we showing up for each other? So a lot of things are, when you and it's just a children's book, I know, but
It's deep
but
though.
it's deep. It's so much that I
Yeah,
feel like I put into it, that each time you read it, you're like, that's interesting. I see the illustration, I see some connections. And but your name can carry weight.
yeah,
And you just want to figure out which type of weight you want to carry.
yeah, yeah. There we go. Yeah, well, I did have some more questions, but I think we're gonna just drop the mic. We're gonna shut this thing down right now. Oh yeah, but most definitely though, like you say, if it's nothing else, don't forget my name. Period. Ah,
Don't forget my
man,
name, which is available at
come on.
www.starlaross.com, and are available on Amazon.com. And if you are looking to, I do readings as well. So I've been reading at our local Shreve Memorial Library. I'm on a short tour right now with our local libraries. I go into schools and do, of course, with my background, I do the literacy components. I do a lot of modeling for the teachers in the room for how to actually, whether it's my text or any text, how to engage students through questioning, teacher questioning, and some of those pieces. And if anyone is interested in getting in contact with me for anything, they can email me at info@starlaross.com. And I'm available to do the
And you in
work.
character too.
Oh yes, I become the grandmother.
Don't play
I
no
become
game.
I
Yeah.
I go into character for the
Yes.
book as well. And I not only do I do this, but I work with teachers, new leaders as well, who are thriving, instructional coaches, because I have a wealth of knowledge in that too. So.
Well, that is a great segue to the next section of this interview, right? Because I wanted to get that book out, education experience, but then I want to get that book out to just talk about the work you do. But then I want to tap into a little bit of that administrator, of that consultant, right? Of just you and your work. So, in your experience as a principal and an education consultant, when you think about those teachers and you think about going to help them on that campus, what are some of the biggest challenges that teachers and administrators face when it comes to promoting literacy and helping students succeed? And then, how do we overcome those challenges?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, some of the barriers I've seen in not only literacy, but also just in supporting just the growth of education, just supporting education, is first and foremost teacher capacity. So, and what I mean by that is teaching children how to read is a gift, and there is also a method to it. So, understanding the science of reading. When we went through our education program, science of reading, what?
Yeah, yeah.
Huh? And then now it's slowly getting into the teacher prep programs,
Mhm.
but you literally had to be certified as a reading specialist
Yeah.
to come in and have and support children around that. But as I continue with the work, the first thing is definitely teacher capacity. And then the next piece for me, I often think about the systems and structures to not only build teacher capacity, but then to also build student capacity. So then as you think about your systems and structures, you get into now, how am I developing my professional development calendar in a way that all of my teachers, first and foremost, building a culture around reading,
Mhm.
making sure we understand that in order to impact the achievement gap or the achievement, the SPS scores and all of those pieces, that yes, they need to know the grade level content, but when you unpack all of those elements, the biggest piece is that our children cannot access the content because they lack the literacy skills to do it.
Yeah, yeah,
And I'm really thinking about like our secondary students, like so our elementary teachers, they have some background around it.
yeah.
But most of us who work in secondary education, middle school and high school, we have our children who are coming to us that are reading on the third grade level. And we're all wondering, oh my God,
Yeah.
where's the time? Where's the structure? All of those pieces to even address those issues. And when we unpack the curriculum by that time does not allow for intervention and remediation to address those deficits.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so teachers are complaining and saying, my children can't read, but also I have the mandate of using this curriculum that does not allow me to address these needs in order for in order for our children to get basic mastery and advanced and so forth and so on
Yeah.
the assessment.
Yeah.
Um,
No,
so yeah, those, I'm gonna let you. I'm stop.
no,
You know
no,
I
no,
keep
no. I
going.
agree. I was just saying that's I always tell even in elementary, I say, okay, it comes to a point where you're learning to read, but probably around third grade and up, you reading to learn. And
Yeah,
so then by eighth grade, ninth grade, like you say, I don't have time. Like I don't. Sometimes I don't even know how to. What I'm supposed to do? I don't know nothing about no small group. We in
I
high
know a
school.
phone mean. What does a phone mean? What is a
Yeah, I can tell you
sound it
automatopoeia.
out? Sound it out. No, babe,
Yeah,
please don't tell me sound it out because they're
yeah.
gonna see is it cut or I mean, like like
Hmm.
there's just so many um different elements
Yes.
to it. And
Yeah.
I'm really thinking about secondary education because at that point they are a lot of times as leaders as well, we when you think about just the systems and the structures that we have to maneuver through, we have to be very strategic in picking the low-hanging fruit that would get us the biggest bang for our buck in order to continue to build teacher capacity through this piece, and then also so that building the teacher capacity, it then in turn builds student achievement and
Yeah.
student success. So just in working with different schools and with my school, it is really helping them to unpack and sometimes being pretty tough about, school turnaround is anywhere between 5 to 8 years. especially if that leader is there. You'll see some growth in the first 3 years, but then to see significant growth, because that's the trending, your trending data and with your students and their progression. You have to truly sit in that and continue to build the system and structure around what what will be your focus. And what I will say for our school is that at Linwood Public Charter School is that we actually made a conscious decision that we must address the deficits in reading. And any of my teachers will tell you that even when I came in as a principal, I told them, okay, we're going to do core, but this block is strictly for intervention for every single child that we serve.
Yeah.
I understand tears, I understand all of that, but every single child will receive intervention, because if I have 70% of my students that are performing unset and approaching basic, then that's a systems problem. That's a tier 1 problem. And I can't just pull out subgroups and small groups. That's everybody at this point. So
everybody. Come on now. Ooh, Linwood Public Charter School. Look,
I'm
right there on the corner.
in there.
Is that Linwood?
Right there on the
It's still
corner,
right there on the
pre-K
corner.
through 8th grade, still right there on the corner, 1,128 students,
Yeah.
pre-K through 8th grade.
Oh, it's pre-K through 8.
Pre-K through 8th is not just the middle school anymore. It's pre-K through 8.
Look, come on, Shreveport.
We're bursting at the seams.
Yes. So now, is it okay? So now that's outside of Caddo, right? Or is it still inside?
Outside of Caddo, yes.
Okay, it's outside of Caddo.
It's outside of Caddo.
Yeah.
Its own entity, public charter school.
Man,
so we take children from all over Caddo Parish.
Yeah. Come on, pull up.
Yeah. Not just Cedar Grove, not just Alabama, not just Lakeside.
Yeah.
Wherever.
Okay, cool. As long as you can get there.
I ain't gonna say that too loud.
Yeah.
You can get there.
So now, when we think about that, breaking it down, look, we still gonna have some fun. We got to. So now, when you think about breaking it down, though, and you coming from inside the school, a big piece of that, as we know, is the parents, right? The parents, guardians, caregivers.
Yeah.
So thinking about, okay, I just worked with this teacher, I got them all fired up. Now, I need you working on the back end because it's a partnership. And so in your experience, how do you encourage those parents, those caregivers and guardians to just have that kid show a love for reading and learning in their children?
Yeah. So the first thing is that I still go back to the mindset has to shift internally, that first in understanding who we serve and knowing who we serve. And we serve our children, and our parents send us their best children. That's all they got. That's it. They're going to send us who they have at the house. And so with that being said, every parent that I know is parenting the best way that they can, the best way that they know how. And so when I say that, it starts with the best way that they know how. If we are a learning institution, our primary goal is not only to, yes, educate the children that are in the building, but everything that's tied to them. So that also means that how are we educating and supporting the parents that send us their best children?
Most definitely.
And so it starts with helping them understand, because a lot of times when they come in on 10, it's because it's something that the child has presented in the best way that they could.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. We all went home and presented our best selves. Like, Mama, she tripping. Like, I don't even know why she gave me this F. Like,
yeah. Oh, you be like, yeah.
I don't even know. And when they say, well, I'm going up there tomorrow, you're like, no, that's all right. You try to back them down, but now you're hyped up.
Yeah, it's too late.
So that parenting the best way that they can. So when they show up, we just got to be prepared for when they show up to give them all of the elements of, first and foremost, let's talk about where your child is currently reading right now. And so that requires us to be knowledgeable about our children. Our children, they're reading on this level. So let's say this, if they're in the 6th grade and they're reading on the 2nd, 3rd grade level, then what grade do you think that they will possibly get in ELA? A D or an F. Because they're not performing, they're not growing. They can't access the content. So mom, dad, this is what we're doing to help your child access the content. But see, we can't do this by ourselves. We need you to do these things at home. And I promise you, when you're doing these things at home and we're doing these things in the school, this is that partnership that we're building. You will see a shift in your child's grades, instructions, tests, and everything. But it starts with, first and foremost, us being knowledgeable about who we serve. And then secondly, providing that same knowledge to the parent. So yes, they're going to come in on 10 and be ready to pop off, but we got to remain calm because we don't want them to get caught up in the messenger. We want them to hear the message. And the message is that we're really partners. And so knowing that information and sharing that knowledge with the parent has been the best part about the parent partnerships that we have at Linwood. It is for when they come to a parent teacher conference and different things of that nature. Yes, we always start with talking about the positives of their grades, but also talking about if literacy is a school-wide shift that we want to see happening, we need to make sure the parents know where their kids are currently performing in order to access the content. And then we begin to give them strategies of what to do at home, but don't give them the strategies that you are certified to do.
Yeah. Ooh, that's it.
Like,
talk that talk.
Like, I can't give to the parent. Okay, so I need you to help this analysis of this text.
Can you do this running record for me?
They mad. You want to get told off again? Don't do that. Don't give them that. Give them after they read a short story, ask them these 5 questions. Who? What happened? Why do you think that happened? Just how? And then if you're focusing on the standard, helping them to understand, do you know what conflict is? Was there a conflict in the story? Who had the conflict? Like, send them simple questions that they can read, and that helps with and that's really what you need. You want your children talking to you at home about text. That's the first thing. They're practicing that at home. Then if you want to take it a step further, mom, dad, have them to write it out. Watch a TV show. Giving them strategies that you already know that's embedded into their routines to help them practice those particular things. That's how you can help build those parent partnerships. It's to first educate internally, in-house, in your institution, and then move that out and simplify it for the parents.
That was very powerful. Well, like you say, the drop the mic moment. Don't give them what's something you certified to do, and then expect for it to get done.
Like that's the surgeon asked me, "Can you cut this heart open?" Oh,
yeah.
We can't.
Yeah, and so, but like you say, with that list of questions, just simple questions that just go through the process.
That's it.
All we want is the 5 W's.
That's it.
That's it. Man, that's good. Come on, keep it simple.
Keep it simple, because then they're gonna love you. Because then they feel empowered. Yep. Parents feel empowered. Children feel empowered. They come back. You asking the same questions. Did you read it? Who was in the story? Oh, she was in the. Everybody's empowered, and it starts with the shift. Yeah. It starts. That's it.
Yeah, and a big part of that also is the technology, right? And so I think about that station when you're doing something like a Fundamental 5 or something. So you got to have your tech up. So what is the role, in your opinion, of technology in promoting literacy and education? And how do we use it in a way that enhances and doesn't detract from it?
So I don't know. Sometimes I go one way with another way. I'm like, yes. So, but if we think about this, the children that we currently serve are more tech savvy than we are. I can give something to my 5-year-old and he has figured it out. And we're like, so how did you how did you do that? And so as we move into, when we talk about literacy and being literate, we also need to be technologically literate as well. Because right now, most of our children, especially from some states, third through high school, are taking all assessments on a computer.
Yes.
They are reading text on a computer instead of reading them on actual books. So when you go to Amazon or when you go to Barnes and Noble and Books a Million, you see the book available in digital form, and then you see it available in hard copy form. And that those are the same options I feel like we should have in our schools, because we are trying to cater to the different types of learners. And for me, it is about creating access. If my children can better conceptualize the standard or the skill by reading it on the screen, then I see and I see them struggling with the text on paper, then I'm trying to create that access for my children. And as much as we're trying to fight this piece, I'm not saying some are trying to fight this piece. When we think about it, most states now, our children are taking assessments online. So yes, having the books in front of them is very, very important. I'm like that now. My son, I want you to actually read the book in hand so that you can feel it, so that you can touch it, so that you can go back and ask questions. But the same thing is that how do I teach you how to navigate the text on the screen? And as you can see, he's cracking up right now.
Yeah, he hot.
How can you read on the screen in order to just engage with it? And technology is here. We're going to look around, and we're going to turn around and we're going to look around in our
Books be
books and
obsolete.
just in
Yeah.
hand,
Yeah.
obsolete. And there's a lot of things that we used to have that are obsolete now. So I think it plays an important part, but I also feel like as long as we are first and foremost preparing our children in how to use it so that it is not a barrier. Because a lot of times when our children do take assessment, the barrier is because the barrier becomes the piece that they don't know how to navigate the technology.
Mhm.
Not that they don't know and understand the content.
Yeah.
There's so many barriers that come up for our children of color, for sure. But then it becomes technology. It becomes access to the content. It becomes I'm not reading on grade level. All of those pieces.
Yeah.
So if we are still being an institution of learning, we have to unpack all of these barriers and figure out how to scaffold those skills throughout the year so that our children are better prepared, not just for a test and for assessment, but for every day. You have to fill out job applications
Yeah. Say
online.
life.
That's not life. That's
Yeah.
not one job thus far that we've applied for that they mailed us an application. No, they did not.
Yeah.
They said go to this website and submit and upload all of your resources.
Mm-hmm.
So if we want them to be better prepared for life, financial aid, all of it.
Yeah. Man, I remember that old school. You used to have to go in the place and fill out the application.
You did.
Yeah. Then they start switching. Now they got the computer there. You got to fill out the application. Now they're like, man, just go home, go to the website. Just get it done.
If we want them to get a passport so that they can travel the world, all of that it's online.
Yeah. Man, I just think about the work that you're doing and giving back to the students in the city of Shreveport, right? The importance of having that quality education and having somebody who just really has the capacity to get the job done, whether it's in the director position or whether it's in the principal position. So big shouts out to you for staying there, because a lot of people left. Right. And so then it's like about who's staying down in there, but you making a difference though, right? It is evident. So now with this long, illustrious, and successful career in education, looking back as you serve the students who we are,
Absolutely.
What moments or experiences that have been particularly meaningful or rewarding for you? Give me some of those. In Cato,
Ooh.
yeah,
Oh my gosh. So, um, mm, oh, not just Caddo. Now I have to also
yeah.
put on the map Bienville Parish because I started
Ooh,
my teaching career at
yeah.
Ringo High School in Bienville Parish. I traveled for 5 years from Shreveport to Ringo, and that's a 45-minute drive, both going and coming back. So I
Ringo.
yeah, Ringo. So I have to start with when you say experiences that changed my life. I want to go there because I started at that school at Ringo High School, and I remember my first year of teaching, and I loved it because it was my mom's alma mater. My mom graduated from Ringo, so I was
Yeah,
like, yeah,
yeah.
this is special. Everything is connected and special. And for me, when they asked me, "Hey, you want to work on homecoming?" I'm like, "Sure."
Let
Yeah.
me
What
in.
else you want me to do?
Yeah.
I'll do homecoming. I work homecoming court, whatever, whatever. And then when I began to realize that there were two homecoming courts, unspoken but spoken. There were two
Mhm.
homecoming courts. There was a white homecoming court
Yeah.
and there was a black homecoming court. And I said, and you know, for me, Shreveport is considered the city. For
Yeah.
me, I'm like, what? We go to school together. They've been in school together. They play sports together. They eat together. They play together. They do all these things in this building. And you're telling me that we have to have two types of representation for a homecoming court. I was so distraught and I don't know. I was just taken aback to be teaching 2003 and we're talking about two like segregated homecoming court. And for me I I did it, but because I couldn't by myself, well, let me take that back.
Yeah.
I did it, but I spoke my mind the whole way through. I'm gonna
Okay
be
then.
transparent.
For real.
So when the kids were voting, I said, I don't understand this. Y'all are here together. And you know, I would talk to them and I was explain that and I believe because I was so transparent with it. Here's the white ballot and here's the black ballot. And they would look at me like, oh my gosh, she's actually saying it. Yes, I am going to
Yeah.
say it because this is the truth and it can no longer be like this. You all have to be the change agent. Yes, I know this has been done since the school was integrated because my mom was a part of the first integrated class at this school. So I know it was done this way. However, it is at this point where we can change the narrative. And I think it's those elements and things like that that really changed me and it's those experiences that make me who I am as I move and I navigate um through my career. And that took me aback. But all of my children from Ringo that I taught, whether they loved me or didn't like me, because I was a tough little cookie sometimes, um, they they still to this day
Yeah.
tell me how impactful that was, that I would speak the truth to them and help them find their voice
Yeah.
as they were navigating those conversations and those things. Um, and other experiences is I remember one day I did go back and you know I taught at Booker T, our
Hey.
alma mater, and
Good.
yes. And I remember one year I was in my upstairs. I had two classrooms because I taught English 1 and English 4. I was in my English 4 classroom upstairs, and I had English 1 out by telecommunications out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
You know, I'm saying out
I
there. You
felt.
know where I'm
Yeah. I know what
out
you're
there.
talking about. Yeah.
And so I remember I was up in my upstairs classroom and I heard, and I said, I know they are not in that student parking lot across the street playing with firecrackers. This makes no sense. And I remember going to the window and I saw a man standing holding the gun
Mm.
over one of my children. I just knew it was one of my children. That's all I knew. And so I just took off running down the stairs. Just took off running. And by that time, um, got to the door, SRO was there, followed the person, was gone. And all I remember was like, who is it? Who is it? And it was one of my senior babies.
Mm.
And I just lost it. I just
Yeah.
couldn't, I just couldn't for the life of me just gather myself. And I knew in that moment it was taking care of our children that in the building, making sure they were okay. And um all of just it was a lot that day. However, I I I love her to death. I ain't gonna say her name. She if she see this, she'll tell her own story of who she is. But I remember going to the hospital that day, and when I just praised God for at least allowing me to see her smile,
Yeah.
just to see her presence. And it's in those moments that it you're more than an educator. And she calls me mama to this day.
Yeah.
She called me mama then, she calls me mama now. Every time I see, hey mama, hey, it's those moments that that change you, and know that it helps you to know that your purpose is bigger than just teaching them Romeo and Juliet, teaching them math concepts or the scientific method. You're bigger than that. When you truly understand your purpose is for changing and shifting the individuals around you, regardless to where you are. um, those are the pieces that change me. And that's just teaching. But then
Yeah.
even as a principal and a leader, what changes me is when young leaders tell me that and I said that like I'm old.
No, wait,
Wait a
no. We
when
know.
other leaders,
Thank you. Yeah. When the newer league, yeah, those, yeah,
um
younger.
just yeah, younger,
Yeah.
tell me that some of they're always watching. They're always paying attention to how you make decisions, how you move, how you navigate, how you deal with conflict, how you deal with problems. They're always watching you, just like your children are in your classroom. Your mentees are always watching you to see how you deal with so many different elements in this complex world of education. And to know that so many of them come back and say, we saw you, or I saw you, and I saw how you did that, and I like that. I want to do, I want to react just like that. You were so calm. Like
Yeah.
and so somebody's always watching. So to know that it goes back to your name
Yeah.
and what you do and how you navigate, you just have to be conscious of it. And those are the pieces that I try to pay attention to
Yeah.
as I continue to navigate through this world of education. And I got
Yeah.
a lot more learning to do and a lot more work to do.
Yeah,
So
we
I'm
just getting
excited.
started. I mean, we the young ones. It's just some people younger than us,
Yes,
but we
yes.
still got a lot more to go. So
Yeah,
now
we
I had Kafele on, and so when Kafele came on, he said, "Man, I got a book, but I'm writing another book," and he was keeping them rolling. I can't remember what it was gonna be, the principal something, another 50 or something. I can't remember the book he was
Ooh,
writing, but he was getting
bad
ready to
man
put it
right
out.
there.
But look, man, just to see how he moved, and how, yeah, just to have that conversation with him and be able to tap in. So now, for you, I asked that as you doing the tour, right?
Right,
Are you
right,
already
right.
working on number two? What you got else in the works?
What was so ironic is that my first book that I envisioned was not this book.
Mhm.
Um, my first book, well, there's two. I envisioned. So yes, I'm in the process of two different books. The first book, the second book, children's book, is definitely will definitely be a series called The Brothers, and is really based off of my two amazing boys because they are some characters, and every day is an adventure. And what I really want is for the world to see two amazing Black boys navigate the world, and how do they do that. And so that's what will be developed next. And then of course I'm working on a piece of um, just being a Black woman in leadership. So many times. And I'm not just saying just in leadership in education, but just a Black woman who leads. It's interesting. Not to say that it's in from anybody else, but it oftentimes the Black woman is intended to be the savior for so many people, regardless to what they look like and what they do. When you really unpack who the Black woman is, they are almost like the they are very important to the families, and to the world and to the systems and to everything that you see around you. And so a lot of times we are trying to figure out who we want to be and how we want to lead while still trying to serve everybody else around us. And so that is the next piece that I intend to work on, because what I hope that book becomes is that something that whether you are a mother, a wife, a leader in education, or you're aspiring to anything, that it gives you it's almost like this thought partner. As you read it, it's thought provoking, and it helps you to think and analyze what you hope to become as you continue to navigate the waters.
Yeah.
So those are the
Hey.
pieces. I
Okay.
don't know.
Well, you got any dates? You got any release dates? Oh, okay. I'm gonna say shameless plug. You heard it here first.
You did, really? You did.
That's cool, man.
You
That's
did.
cool.
You did. So,
So now, as we get ready to land this plane, Starla, and we're thinking
all right,
about those younger people,
younger,
you
very
know, yeah. What
very.
advice do you have for aspiring educators or authors, or who want to make a positive impact on the world of education and child literacy?
Oh, um, I get this question asked a lot. Just what advice do I have for anyone aspiring to write a book? And it is, you have a story. That's it. You have a story. Your story is unique. Your story is unique, and it deserves to be heard, and it deserves to be told. And if especially if you're looking to write a children's book, how to help our children continue to be inquisitive and learn, um, is the most important thing for me. And something I often talk to my children about and my teachers. The teachers, they know this is what I will say. Once we learn to read, we are forever free. And so, Frederick Douglass. And it is important that we know and understand that we are giving those beside us, behind us, something to continuously read and be forever free, because they're learning and they're reading it for themselves. And I think that's the most important thing that you can give, or is definitely is to write your story. Your story deserves to be told. It deserves to be heard. Okay, you hear me? I'm telling you, talking to you, because I know you got a book coming too.
Look, I'm working over here.
Okay. And inspiring leaders, let me be clear. You can't lead until you learn to listen.
Mm,
Um, Leading is bigger than a title. Um, it's a lot of work, and you will not always be right, especially when you're grounded in your purpose. When you're grounded in trying to please people, then that's going to be a problem. But when you're grounded in your purpose, you have to know that you have to learn to listen. And sitting and sometimes listening means not having an answer right out. Sometimes listening means you have to have an answer right then. But definitely making sure that just listen. Once you learn to listen and understand who you serve and you know your purpose, stay grounded in it, you will be a phenomenal leader. And that's all that matters.
Just listen. Man, that's it. Look, for the people who are listening right now, give us all that contact information. Tell us where we can buy the book. Tell us how we can get in contact with you for anything. Let us know, Miss Starla Ross.
Absolutely. So if you are looking for an opportunity to speak with me, book me, or even consultant opportunities, I can be found at my email address is info@starlaross.com.
Mm-hmm.
And my book, Don't Forget My Name, can be found on .com, or you can find it at www.starlaross.com. And if you don't remember anything, go to my website, www.starlaross.com, and you can find all the information you need. Okay?
Look, I want to say thank you for taking that time out tonight. We pushed it a good hour and something right now. Hold on, I think you froze up. Are you there? Oh, I think she froze on us at the end. Look, y'all. We done hustled tonight. We done had some great conversations. And so as Starla is giving us the wheel, I'm gonna close this thing out and I'm gonna say thank y'all for tuning in tonight. Great conversation. Y'all got the information for Starla. This is KT for KTTV signing out. 100.
This is Darnell with Broadcast Houston.
This is Dr. Tamara Beckford.
Hey, this is Candace.
This is London Underwood.
This is Kirsten Bass with Inner City Greens, and you're watching.
Y'all are now tuned in to
KTTV.
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 KTTV, is that right?